Hello and welcome. My name's Suzanne from Nonstop Papercrafts. Thank you for joining me again on my channel. Okay, so today's video is just a quick follow-up really from my tutorial that I did making vellum paper using oils. I've had lots of fabulous feedback where people have been trying this out and getting some amazing results. I also had some incredible questions, lots of things that I hadn't really considered, so I had to do a little bit of research for, and that's why I've created this video, to kind of show you my findings and hopefully answer all of the questions that have been asked so far about the vellum papers. So let's start with one of my first questions was about the smell. Now if you watch the tutorial you would know that I used cooking oil to oil these papers. And no, the papers actually do not smell at all. And I didn't use anything fancy. It's a supermarket own brand. It's a sunflower oil, but there is no smell to it whatsoever. So if you're worried about scent, you could of course use a different oil. You can use baby oil or essential oils if you are worried about the smell. But yeah, I use cooking oil and no, I do not find that these pages smell at all. So don't worry about that if that's something you're concerned about. I had another question about the kind of long-term effects. So one of them was about over time, would there be oil transfer on other pages? There was a lady who had made her own a while back, and when she found that she stored them, the oil had transferred onto other papers. Now I made these papers about a week before I released the video. So they're about a week and a half old now, and I have stored them with other papers, and so far I've had no oil transfer. Whether that's because I obviously used my heat gun to kind of dry out the pages a bit, I don't know. I did have a suggestion from somebody who did kind of comment saying about maybe blasting them in the oven for a bit to obviously help dry them out, so that could be an option if you are finding that you are still getting some oil transfer. But so far, fingers crossed, I haven't had that, so that hasn't been an issue for me. Another question I had about the papers and long-term effects was about whether the papers would eventually go bad after a while. Again, I can't really answer that question because, like I said, I've only had these for about a week and a half. However, I have obviously seen videos of other journal makers who have been journal making for a long time, and they've been showing tutorials of, again, using oils to make your own vellum, and they haven't sort of warned that, you know, it does sort of turn bad over time, so I would assume not. In the research that I've done, there's no mention of that anywhere, so I would assume not, but like I said, I can't say for sure because I've only had these for a short while myself. Okay, apart from those questions, I then had questions about, okay, well, after you've made the vellum, what sort of things can you do with them? So somebody asked about printing. So on these ones, I printed it onto copy paper first. So actually these two, I printed onto copy of paper first, and then I oiled them and followed the process that I showed you in the tutorial. These two I printed first, I then tea dyed, and then did the oil process. But then somebody said, well, what if I do the vellum first, can I then print? And the answer is yes. So I tried it with this one. So I just took a plain white piece of paper, and I followed the same process. So I oiled the page, and then I put it through my printer to print out this lovely print from Pink Monarch Prints. And yeah, I did the kind of smudge test, and clearly the oils in the paper do not interfere with the inks. I did use an inkjet printer. I do not have a laser jet printer, so I can't tell you what the effects of that would be, but certainly an inkjet printer doesn't seem to be a problem. So yeah, that is another option. So if you don't want to print first, if you just want to make a few pieces of vellum paper and then decide what to print on it later, that is an option as well. So really good question, thank you for asking that. Another one was about stamping. So I tried a couple of different stamps and using some different inks. So this bottom one is with VersaFine ink. This next one is with a distress ink, which I know lots of us use. I did all the smudge test and everything, and again, it's absolutely fine. It's nice and clear. So clearly stamping is something that you can do on these vellum pages once you've finished. I did try using embossing powders to create an embossed image, but whether the kind of oils in the paper, I don't know, attract all of the powders. Even when I used the anti-static tool, it literally just clinged in one great big clump, so it didn't actually work. So I don't know if there is a way around that. I will keep playing, obviously, but yeah, at the moment I don't think there is a way to kind of emboss on there using the embossing powders. Another question I had was about writing on this. So again, this is something that I wouldn't have considered because yeah, I think I would have kept this as kind of a pretty feature page rather than something to write on. But I did some testers, and the first one is just a purple biro pen, and as you can see it started off okay but then started fading out as we got to the end, so biros clearly aren't a very good pen. The next one was a Sharpie. Sharpies work brilliantly on this, and again on all of these I did the smudge factor test, and they are absolutely fine. The next pen down was with this Spectrum Fine pen. I think it works okay. It looks slightly washed out, but it does look okay. The next one, now I normally love, this is my favourite pen when I'm writing on normal paper, but this didn't work, as you can see, very well on here. It faded very quickly when I was writing. And this last one is also a fine liner from Nib, and yeah, that one was just awful. That didn't work at all. That was impossible to write with. So yeah, possibly as a page to write on, vellum paper probably isn't the best. I would possibly just stick to your other normal copier papers or tea dyed papers. I just want to say thanks again for everybody that's commented and that has tried this out and has said that they've got great results. Thank you again to everybody that's kind of asked the questions. I love experimenting and playing around, and like I said, lots of those things I hadn't even thought of. So thank you very much for interacting, and yeah, I'm really pleased that lots of you that have tried this have had some amazing results too. If you found this video useful, please give it a like. If you would like to see more crafty videos, then click the subscribe button and the bell so you are notified for any new videos that are released. As always, all my social media links are in the description below. I really hope that this was useful for you. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely crafty day. See you later. Bye bye.